Hello, friends. Before we begin, I want you to take a deep breath. Welcome to the Hello Globe. I used to believe that paradise was a myth. Welcome to Oman, the country you've never heard of, but should. When I first planned my journey through the Middle East, Oman was somewhere between, interesting, and I barely know anything about it. Everyone talked about Dubai. Some pushed me toward Qatar or Bahrain. But Oman? Silence. Mystery. And then, I landed in Muscat. The moment I stepped off the plane and took my first breath of dry, sun-warmed, spice-scented air, I knew this country wasn't going to just surprise me. It was going to completely rewrite my idea of the Arabian world. Let me take you with me. The first thing you notice in Oman is the peace. It's quiet. No chaotic traffic. No skyscrapers screaming for attention. Oman is gentle, real. It doesn't try to impress you with flash. Instead, it invites you in with dignity. Fact number 1. Oman bans skyscrapers. Yes. Seriously. There's a royal decree that protects the traditional low-rise architecture. Buildings here can't tower over the mountains or the mosques. Everything is soft. White, sand-colored, or pale beige. It doesn't feel like a city. It feels like you've stepped into a desert kingdom that somehow stayed frozen in time. But not in a backward way. In a deeply intentional, poetic way. I stood on a rooftop in Muscat and watched the soup melt over domes and white rooftops framed by rugged mountains. It felt like I was inside a storybook, except this wasn't fantasy. Fact number 2. Oman is one of the safest countries in the world, and I can personally confirm that. I walked alone at night through tiny alleyways of old souk and sleepy villages, and not once did I feel unsafe. Omanis are known for their hospitality, but it's not loud or overbearing. They're warm, polite, and deeply respectful of personal space. They practice ibadism, a rare form of Islam centered on peace, humility, and tolerance. There's no shouting, no aggressive selling, no pressure, just kindness. Fact number 3. Oman isn't just desert, it's full of shocking natural beauty. In one day, I swam in a wadi, an emerald canyon pool, drove through a golden desert that looked straight out of a movie and cooled off in misty green mountains where roses and pomegranates grow. You can climb into caves, find ancient petroglyphs, or relax on a beach with turtles nesting nearby, all within a few hours' drive. And then, I discovered something that blew my mind. You can rent an entire family in Oman. Oka. Rent a family in Oman. And it's beautiful, not bizarre. When I first heard about this, I honestly thought it was a joke. You can rent a family in Oman. I imagined something absurd like actors pretending to be your parents for a day. But then I sat down with a local guide named Salim over QAHWAL Mani, coffee and dates, and he explained it in a way that completely changed my perspective. Fact number 4. In Oman, you can rent a traditional Omani family for a cultural immersion experience. Yes, it's a real heart-centered initiative, not for photos or staged content. This is for travelers who want to truly understand how Omanis live, cook, gather, celebrate, and tell stories. You don't stay in a hotel. You live with a family. I did this in a mountain village called Misfat al-Abreen, a fairy tale town made of stone, houses and terraced gardens hanging on the edge of cliffs. The family welcomed me like a long-lost cousin. The grandmother showed me how to bake traditional flatbread in a clay oven. The uncle explained how they water their farms using ancient fly channels. More on that later. And the teenage daughter let me help decorate henna patterns on her cousin's hands before a celebration. It was beautiful and humbling. There were no scripts, no tourist act, just shared space, shared food, and deep, real hospitality. Fact number 5. Omani culture is built around majlis, the sitting room where everything happens. Politics, weddings, conflict resolution, gossip, poetry, and love stories. The majlis is sacred. I was invited into one, barefoot, of course, and sat with men and women who didn't speak my language, but made me feel more at home than any 5-star lobby ever had. And there is something else. Fact number 6. Omanis greet you with coffee, dates, and silence. When you enter someone's home, there is no rush, no questions. They offer kawa, you sit, and for several minutes, sometimes 15 or more, no one talks. They say silence is respect. And in that silence, you feel seen. For a traveler like me, always chasing the next shot, the next flight, the next caption, The stillness was revolutionary. No one was trying to sell me anything. They were just trying to give me a place to be. In the next part, I'll take you deeper into Oman's ancient water systems, the Afly, a UNESCO-protected network that still waters farms and villages to this day. Some of them are over 1,500 years old. And yes, I hiked one, barefoot. But that's a story for next time. Part 3, the 1,500-year-old water system that still feeds Oman's mountains. If there's one thing you need to know about Oman, it's this. The country doesn't just respect nature, it partners with it. One of the best examples of this is a marvel I got to walk beside, literally. Fact number 7. Oman is home to an ancient irrigation system called Afly, and it still works. The Afly, plural of falaj, are narrow channels that run through villages, mountains, and farms, carrying water from underground springs or distant mountains down to the people. No electric pumps, no machinery, just gravity, stone, and centuries of wisdom. Some of these systems are over 1,500 years old, and guess what? They still flow. I hiked a portion of one in a village near Nizwa. My guide, an elder named Abdulrahman, led me barefoot, because that's how the locals do it. The falaj ran beside us, carved neatly into the stone, winding past date palms, mud brick homes, and curious goats. The water was crystal clear, cold, alive. Fact number 8. Afly are so important, they're protected by UNESCO. They aren't just old, they're sacred. The way water is distributed is based on centuries-old agreements written into tribal law. Every farm, every household, every plant gets its share. No more, no less. And the timing? Done with sundials and shadows, no Wi-Fi needed. It felt like I was witnessing the heartbeat of the village. Children splash in parts of it. Women wash vegetables. Older men sit beside it. In the evening, sipping tea and watching the flow, like it's a living being they've grown up with. And honestly, it is. Fact number 9. Some Afly have legends attached. Stories of hidden springs, guardian spirits, and eternal flow. One tale Abdulrahman told me gave me chills. A falaj that started flowing centuries ago during a famine. No one knew where the water came from, but it saved the entire village. It's never dried since. Locals say it's protected by something unseen. Whether you believe in magic or not, the way these channels carve through rock and time is spellbinding. It's not just water, it's memory, it's survival, it's connection. As we sat beneath the shade of an ancient fig tree, I dipped my fingers into the cool stream and whispered a quiet thank you to the builders, to the mountain, to whatever force has kept the water flowing. In the next chapter, I'll show you the forbidden caves of Salalah, where frankincense still grows wild and time feels like it's sleeping. And yes, there's a secret desert road involved, the fragrant cave, the secret desert road, and the tree that changed the world way. I landed in Salalah, in the far south of Oman. It felt like I'd entered a different country entirely. Gone were the golden deserts and beige mountains. Here, the landscape turned green, even tropical. Coconut palms lined the roads. Papaya trees swayed in the wind, and the air, it was heavy with moisture, and something even deeper, a scent I couldn't place at first. Sweet, smoky, ancient. My driver, a man named Faisal, just smiled. Frankincense, he said. This is where it was born. Fact number 10. Oman is the birthplace of frankincense, one of the world's most legendary scents. For thousands of years, this resin, harvested from the boswellia tree, was more valuable than gold. Pharaohs were buried with it. Roman emperors demanded it by the ton. And it all began here, in the mountains of Dhofar. We followed a winding dirt road into the hills. No signs, no service. Just cliffs, wind, and goats. And then, suddenly, a cave. Hidden behind a veil of vines and rock, we stepped inside. It was cool, dry, and smelled like fire and memory. Fact number 11. Wadi Dhaka and the lost city of Uber are UNESCO-protected areas tied to Oman's frankincense trade, and they're surrounded by myths. Legends say this cave was once used by caravans to store sacks of precious frankincense before making the dangerous journey through the empty quarter, the largest sand desert on Earth. Some say the smoke of burned frankincense guided spirits. Others say it cured disease. All I know is, standing there, it felt sacred. Outside the cave, Faisal pointed to a rugged, crooked tree growing out of a cliff. Its bark was pale and cracked, its leaves stiff. And from a cut in the trunk, thick amber resin oozed. "Touch it," he said. I did, and it was sticky, warm, and smelled divine. Fact number 12. Omani frankincense is considered the purest in the world, and it only grows in one small corner of the country. To this day, Omanis burn it in homes, use it in tea, oils, perfumes, even medicine. In fact, when I later walked through the Mutra Souk in Muscat, I saw tiny shops selling glass bottles of the stuff. Like little treasures, women rubbed it on their wrists. Men dropped it into glowing coal burners that filled the air with sweetness and smoke. It wasn't a product here. It was a presence. That night, I sat under the stars outside my guest house in Salalah. The wind carried the scent of the mountains, and for a moment, I understood why entire civilizations had once fought over this one humble tree, because sometimes one smell can hold a whole history, and Oman smells like forever. Why Omani women wear perfume you can smell from 3 meters away, and it's a matter of pride. I was walking through a narrow alley in the old Mutra Souk in Muscat when I first noticed it. Or a sound, not a movement, a scent. It hit me like a memory I hadn't lived. Spicy, floral, smoky, deep. And then I saw her. An older Omani woman in a black abaya embroidered with gold. Her posture was regal, her steps slow and deliberate. She passed me, silently, but the air she left behind stayed for minutes. It was powerful, intoxicating, and completely intentional. Fact number 13. In Omar, scent is more than beauty. It's identity, it's tradition, family, respect, and Omani women are masters of it. I later sat down with Fatma, a perfumer and matriarch, who invited me into her home near Bala. She poured kawa, placed halwa on the table, and then opened an ornately carved wooden box. Inside, bottles of thick golden oils, tiny cloth bags filled with dried petals, resin, amber, sandalwood, rose, oud. She smiled, dipping a stick into a small bottle. "Smell this," she said. It was like breathing in 1,000 years of stories. Fact number 14. Most Omani girls are gifted their first perfume blend as teens, and it's often mixed by their mothers or grandmothers. The recipe? Secret. The message? Deeply personal. Smell, Fatma told me, is how we carry our history. She explained that before a wedding, a bride is perfumed over several days. Her hair is treated with rose water. Her abaya is scented with burning oud and frankincense. Her skin is massaged with infused oils. And when she walks into a room, you feel her before you see her. This isn't excess. This is elegance. Fact number 15. Omani women layer scent, not just on the skin, but on fabric, in jewelry, even behind doors. They burn incense under their dresses, so the smoke clings to the fabric. They rub oil on wood, combs so that every stroke perfumes the hair. They hide tiny scent sachets in pillows, bags, even behind the curtains. I asked Fatma how she chooses her scent. She smiled. It depends on my mood, my guest, the weather, the moon. That's when I realized perfume here isn't about being noticed. It's about belonging to a moment. And yes, I did leave with a bottle of my own. No brand name, no label, just a handwritten tag for memory and courage. Next, I'll take you somewhere even quieter, but no less powerful. The vast silence of Oman's desert. The place where time melts, and where I spent a night that changed how I understood stillness. Sleeping under the stars in the empty quarter, where silence has a sound. If there is one moment from my trip to Oman that still echoes in my bones, it was I slept in the desert, not just any desert, the empty quarter. Known in Arabic as Rub al-Khali, the quarter that knows no one. It's the largest sand desert in the world, and it stretches across 4 countries like a golden ocean. But the Omani side feels untouched, timeless, like the earth stopped turning here. Just to listen, we drove for hours from Salalah. As the landscape changed from greenery to dust to endless dunes, I felt time slow. My guide, Ahmed, barely spoke. When we reached our camp, 2 small tents, a fire pit, and nothing else. He simply said, "Tonight, you will hear the silence." And he was right. Fact number 16. In the empty quarter, silence isn't empty. It hums, with ancient wind, with buried stories, with the sound of your own thoughts getting louder and louder. As the sun dropped behind the dunes, the sand turned pink, then gold, then lavender. We made tea on the fire. No phone signal, no lights, no distraction. Just the stars, more stars than I've ever seen in my life. Fact number 17. Stargazing in Oman is some of the clearest eye. The world. With almost zero light pollution, the night sky here is alive. I saw constellations I'd only read about, shooting stars every few minutes, and the Milky Way, thick, glowing, stretching from dune to dune like a veil of powdered light. Ahmed pointed to it and whispered, "My grandfather navigated by that." That's when I realized I wasn't just traveling. I was remembering, not my own memories, but those that lived in the land. Fact number 18. Bedouin tribes still live in parts of Oman's desert, and their knowledge of the land is beyond science. They know when the wind will turn by the taste of the air. They can find water by reading the sand. They read camel tracks like a diary. Ahmed told me his grandmother never wore shoes. She said if your feet don't feel the earth, your soul forgets where it belongs. That night, I lay on a woven mat under the open sky, wrapped in a light blanket, listening to nothing. And somehow that nothing was the loudest, clearest thing I've ever heard. Next up, I'll take you to a hidden coastal village where dolphins swim at sunrise and fishermen still sing as they cast their nets. Because Oman's magic isn't just inland. It lives in the sea too. After days in the desert, I craved the sea. So I headed east toward the coastal village of Tiwi, a place that, according to a local I met, never hurries and never forgets. He was right. Tiwi isn't on most tourist maps. It's nestled between cliffs and sea, with houses the color of sand and boats that look like they've been carved by the wind itself. I arrived just before dawn. A warm breeze rolled in from the Gulf of Oman. Fishermen were already gathering by the shore. No one shouted. No rush. They moved like waves, slow, rhythmic, purposeful, and then I saw them. Fact number 19. Dolphins live wild and free along Oman's untouched coasts, and often appear at sunrise. They're just beyond the breaking waves. A pod of dolphins moved like liquid silver. They leapt, turned, played, completely unbothered by us. My guide, Salim, grinned. They always come when it's a good day. We took a wooden dhow out to sea. No engine, just a quiet sail and the smell of salt and sun. I leaned over the edge as dolphins swam alongside us, so close I could see their eyes. No barriers, no crowds, no theme park tricks. Just wild, free life, living. Fact number 20. Oman protects its coastline with strict environmental laws, and locals take it personally. Fishing here is small-scale and sustainable. Plastic is rare. Sea turtles nest peacefully on the beaches nearby, and it's considered an honor to protect them. Later, we returned to shore and joined a family preparing grilled fish and rice with lemon and cardamom. No restaurant, no menu, just hospitality. Once again, its purest form. We sat cross-legged on woven mats. They sang softly as they cooked. The sky turned from peach to blue, and in that moment, I realized something. Oman isn't loud. It doesn't scream for your attention. It invites you to slow down and notice. The sea here isn't just a view. It's a rhythm. And if you listen long enough, it begins to match your breath. In the next chapter, I'll show you something totally unexpected. A village built into a cliffside, hidden in the mountains, where the only way to reach it is by walking ancient steps carved in stone. And yes, I almost turned back halfway. They told me, it's only 500 steps. What they didn't tell me was that those steps were carved centuries ago, straight into the mountainside. Narrow, uneven, winding through rocks and clouds. And halfway up, with my heart pounding and sunburn creeping across my back, I almost gave up. But then, I turned a corner and saw it. A village, clinging to the cliff, like a secret that refused to fall. Welcome to Al Sogara, one of the most remote inhabited villages in Oman, and one of the most magical places I've ever seen. Fact number 21. Al Sogara was built hundreds of years ago, into the side of a mountain, to hide from raiders and time itself. The homes are carved into rock, the roofs are made of slate and wood, and the pathways are so narrow, only goats and children run freely here. There are no roads, no cars, no shops, only families, a few dozen, who still live as their ancestors did, quietly, high above the world. As I reached the village gate, I was welcomed not with fanfare, but with fresh jasmine in a woven pouch. It smelled like peace. Fact number 22. The air in the Omani highlands is cooler, perfumed with mountain herbs, and considered healing by local folklore. I felt it. Every breath came easier. The silence here wasn't empty, it was sacred. My guide's grandmother, Mariam, 84 years old and stronger than I'll ever be, served me laban, a salty yogurt drink, and warm flatbread with honey and crushed thyme. She smiled with no teeth, touched my face gently, and said, "You have mountain in your eyes." I didn't ask what she meant, because part of me already knew. Fact number 23. In villages like Al Sagara, stories are passed not with books but with bread, herbs, and wind. No Wi-Fi, no hashtags, just people present. I spent the night in a guest room carved into the stone. The window looked out over a drop so steep it made my heart race. But the stars? They looked close enough to touch. The next morning, I left with sore legs and a heart too full for words. There are places that leave a mark on your passport, and there are places that leave a mark on your soul. Al Sagara is the second kind. In the next part, I'll take you to something you probably didn't expect to find in Oman. Lush waterfalls, hidden between desert canyons, where locals swim in secret pools and no one speaks above a whisper. The waterfall's hidden eye, the desert, where silence means respect. When you think of Oman, you think of dunes, heat, dust, maybe camels. What you don't expect is waterfalls, real ones. And yet, there I was, hiking down a canyon near Wadi Darbat in Dhofar, the air damp, the rocks cool to the touch, and the sound of falling water getting louder with every step. Fact number 24. In southern Oman, waterfalls appear seasonally during the Kharif monsoon, transforming parts of the desert into lush green oases. And it's not just a drizzle, it's a full rainforest moment, complete with mist, moss, and jungle sounds. The entire landscape shifts, like the earth is remembering its softer side. I arrived at one particular spot, a narrow gorge where sunlight pierced through the canyon walls and revealed a hidden waterfall, dropping into a jade-colored pool. And here's the part I'll never forget. No one was talking. There were a few local families, some hikers, even children, but everyone whispered. It wasn't a rule. It was a natural instinct. Fact number 25. Omani culture treats water as sacred, not just for survival, but for the spirit. Whether it's a spring, a wadi, or a waterfall, Omanis approach it with gratitude. You don't splash, you don't scream, you sit, you listen. I slipped off my shoes and stepped into the cool, clear water. It wrapped around my ankles like silk. Small fish darted past, and the waterfall, soft, not thunderous, sounded like a hush over the whole canyon. I sat on a flat rock, closed my eyes, and let the mist settle on my skin. And I thought, this country keeps showing me things I didn't know I needed. Stillness, respect, wonder. Fact number 26. Many of these natural sites are unmapped, shared only by word of mouth. They're not hidden out of greed. They're protected out of love. When we left, my guide Ali said quietly, places like this, they choose who they reveal themselves to. And somehow I believed him. In the final chapter, we returned to where it all began, not physically, but emotionally. One last place, one last moment, and the answer to the question that started this journey, can paradise be real? I've traveled through mountains and markets, across deserts and hidden coasts. I've sipped coffee in silence, been blessed by waterfalls, guided by starlight, and embraced by strangers who felt more like family than some people I've known for years. I've seen beauty, I've seen peace, but Oman gave me something else. It gave me permission to just be, no pressure, no performance, just presence. Fact number 27. Oman is not a country you consume. It's a country you absorb. It doesn't ask to be posted, tagged, or edited. It asks to be felt. Whether you're wandering the labyrinth of Mutra Souk or standing in a canyon that smells of frankincense and rain, Oman doesn't compete for your attention. It gently claims your heart. As I boarded the plane to leave, I didn't feel like I was leaving a country. I felt like I was saying goodbye to a friend, the kind that doesn't beg you to stay, but you'll return to. Fact number 28. Oman is the only country I've ever been to where I felt both grounded and weightless. The sand held me, the sky lifted me, and the people, they reminded me that gentleness is power. Fact number 29. Oman isn't for everyone. It's not fast, not flashy, not filtered. But if you're tired of noise, of performance, of chasing things that leave you emptier than before, Oman is waiting, not with fireworks, but with stillness and sincerity. Fact number 30. True paradise isn't made of beaches or luxury. It's made of moments that stay with you long after you've left. Oman is that moment, and now it's part of me. Thank you for traveling with me. If this journey opened your eyes the way Oman opened mine, leave a comment, share your story, or simply take a breath. And if you ever visit this place, do one thing. Listen. Oman speaks softly, but it says everything you need to hear. With love from the edge of the earth. Hello, Global.